Hey guys, welcome back. I am so glad you decided to click on this video. Today we are going to be reviewing another ink. This one is by the Birmingham Pen Company, and this one is called Interstellar Bronze. So this is a really cool ink. This is one of my favorites that they make. I really like their inks. If you haven't tried them yet, I highly recommend it. So their boxes are less decorated than some of the others that you'll probably see in future videos. They're more minimalistic a little bit, but they're very, very nice. This is embossed and it's metallic. It's very pretty. And because these are not glossy boxes, you can use some of the ink on the lid to mark it, so that when you have these on the shelf, you can just look at the box on the lid or on the side and you can immediately see what color the ink is, so you don't have to take them down and read each box to see what's what if you choose to do so. I like to store mine in boxes because sometimes ink can fade if they are in the light, and if you keep them in their boxes, you have a better chance of the ink lasting longer. So this ink is really cool. So first, it's got this really nice cap here. It's got the label, and I don't know if this is gonna pick up on the camera, but it almost looks purplish when you look at the light coming through the bottom of the bottle. When you have this sitting on your desk, you'll be able to see it looks purple, but it's not purple ink at all. You'll see this looks really, really cool. So I wanted to show some inks made by this company because when I first started looking at inks, theirs came up somewhere. I forget where I found it. Probably, I think it was a Google search for something I was looking for. And I couldn't find any information. They didn't have reviews on their website or anything. So, and that's because you can't make accounts. I think this is the reason. You can't make accounts on their website. You can purchase from them, but they don't have like a login where you log in and make an account and everything. So I think that's why there's no actual reviews like you would see on some other websites. So I was a little bit hesitant, but I went ahead and purchased some ink, and let me tell you, their ink is fantastic. If you're looking for something that you don't want super frilly, you don't want it, you maybe like this style of bottle and packaging better, definitely try them out. So just like all the other inks, we're going to review these on various types of paper. I have the regular copy paper. I've got something called HP 32, which is copy paper, but it's a little bit better quality. And some of the inks, if you want something inexpensive to use as paper, but you don't want to use regular copy paper, this will actually show off some of the properties of certain inks. So this is worth using. And then I've also got some Tomo River paper, and I've cut it down to size here. So I'll pull that out real quick. It's like this. That way we're not wasting too much of that paper or any of this paper on swatches. So I'll go ahead and pull a sheet off of the regular paper. And also, as a reminder, last week, or I guess it was a few days ago, but the previous ones that we reviewed was Radiant Rosewing by Ferris Wheel Press. They have very fancy boxes and bottles if you're into that. And we also reviewed, it was a blue sparkly ink. There it is. I'll take this off of here. And this is on regular printer paper. And this one, again, don't know how to pronounce it. Riviera de la Lune, I guess. But it's very, very pretty. But I also noticed that on the camera, it's not picking up the effect of these inks very well. So I've got hopefully a solution to that. I've got a little light beside me, and what we'll do is when I go to review these at the end, we'll look at it under the light, and hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm able to see, because cameras never do these inks justice. Just forewarning there. Okay. So first, what we'll do is I will just I always shake these up. I don't know if they all need to be shaken up, but I shake it. And then we are going to go ahead and open this. Look, it's like green. It's bizarre. So it looks purple from you know, my perspective looking at the bottle, it's purple, but when you open it and look in, it's like this weird greenish color. And I'm just going to dip the pen in. Then I like to set this on top so nothing, no dust or anything falls in it. Okay. And we'll just start doing some doodles. And this is just regular old copy paper. And the reason I do regular copy paper and the other types of paper is because sometimes you might just have a regular old notebook with regular paper, a regular journal, and you want to know how this ink is going to look. You know, you don't want to spend all this money on fancy ink if none of the properties are going to show up on your paper, right? So this way you can see how the ink performs, and then maybe if you like the way the ink looks on the nicer paper, you might decide to invest in some nicer paper for the ink to show off. So we're going to let this kind of dry. You can start seeing a little bit of like a slight shift in color. Even though this is cheap paper, this ink is like way overpowered and you can still kind of see it. This is Interstellar Bronze, and this is by Birmingham. Pen Company. Now they do actually sell pens as well, but they seem to have trouble keeping things in stock. People just go and buy stuff. That's one of my problems. They'll have something, I haven't been able to get a pen, but a lot of the inks I see, I love their inks, and I'll say, oh look, this one's in stock. So when I get paid, I'm going to buy a bottle. I get paid, they're already sold out. So if you see something you like, just buy it before they sell out. They've started showing more and more swatches of what their inks look like in writing. So that's been helpful. So you can kind of get a better idea. Now look at that water. Is that showing up? I don't know if this is showing up. So when you wash the ink off, hopefully that shows on the camera. Yes, it does good. It's like, I don't even know what to call that. It's like a weird neon green or something. Let me set that aside so I don't drip it. And we'll clean this off. And don't worry, I know this is white, but I'm sure it'll come clean. And if it doesn't do well, I'm just using it for ink. All right, so that came clean. Let me see how this is drying up. All right, so that's how it looks on regular paper. So it looks kind of like a weird green shade. This is just plain old normal paper. Oh, and I need to write copy paper on there as well. But first, let me get the other paper out. That way I only have to dip the pen once. I like to re-dip it each time to make sure we're getting a fair assessment. Here, let me screw the cap back on and we'll shake it again. And this paper is not glossy. It's matte, just like the boxes. So if you get ink on this, it probably will absorb in. So just be careful if you want to keep your labels clean. You could also use an ink pot or something so that you don't have to use the actual bottle. So let me just dip this one more time. Okay. Copy paper. Okay, let's set that aside. All right. So I'll do this again. And my handwriting is not that great. It is something I need to work on. So hopefully in the future, I will have some recommendations for practice for handwriting, maybe some things I can try out and share with you guys. There's that. And these weird figure 8 things, I don't know what this is. All right, this is Interstellar. Bronze. Birmingham Pen Company. And this is going to be the HP 32 paper. All right, now this paper is showing off the properties of the ink much better. In fact, I'm going to drop some more ink on here just to really, well, not waste what I have on my pen, but also because this paper is actually showing what it does. So let me quickly rinse this off. And they have a lot of really cool inks. There's another one I want to show you, one that I thought was absolutely beautiful, but I thought, you'll see when I show it to you, but I thought this might be more interesting for an introduction to them and to Birmingham Pen Company inks. All right, let's set that by the side. And we're gonna let this finish drying, but what I can see, and hopefully the camera will pick up, and I'll hold it up closer to the camera, and then like I said at the end, I will use the light and see if we can get the camera to pick it up, but it's turning kind of like a bronzy, brownish color on the ends and on the edges, and then where the ink is pooling, it has this almost metallic green sheen. It's beautiful. Let me just see. That might be dry enough to, let me fan it dry a little. Here we go. So I don't know if the camera is gonna show this. Let me see if I can get it close enough. It's a little bit wet still, but here where it's dry, you see how it turns green? It's almost like metallic ink almost. I don't know how they do this, but even on the, like on the writing on the letters, when they go back and forth, there's like a shine in green. Anyway, it's bizarre and I think it's beautiful. And this is not their only ink that behaves like this. They have a lot of really cool, fun inks that you can try. And if you catch them on a sale, they will sometimes sell ink as a bundle, and you end up getting a free bottle of ink doing it that way. So, and their prices are really good. So anyways, I'll go ahead and, oops. This paper is so thin, I accidentally grabbed 2 sheets. And even though this paper is thin, it holds the fountain pen ink no problem. So I've never had an issue. Okay, so this is the Tomo River. And just like last time, I'm going to shake the bottle just in case there's something that needs to be dispersed evenly to give everything a fair test. We don't want too many variables. Okay. Draw the squiggles. And this paper is very, very smooth. If you've never used it before, the ink kind of sits on top of it rather than getting absorbed in right away. At least that's the way it feels. And it just helps bring out the different properties of the ink before it dries. When I first got it, the first time I went to use it, I thought there's no way the ink is going to dry on this because it feels very slick and smooth. But no. It dries just fine. Okay, this is Interstellar Bronze. And this is the Tomo River. Okay, I'm going to give this a second to dry. You can see maybe here where I put a lot of ink down and it's taken a minute to dry. But even from here, without moving the paper, I can see I don't know if that's a sheen or a shading, but it starts out brown here, like on the L's on the downstrokes, starts out brown and turns green on the ends. And here on the river, on the R on river, the downstroke there is brown, and this part here is green. The V, the downstroke is brown, the upstroke is green. This is just a fascinating ink, and I really like using it. Oh, I forgot to put the cap back on. Do that. Rinse this off. Now I'll get the towel and clean this off. And then what we'll do is we'll do our little swatch card, because that's going to look amazing, I think. At least I hope so. All Alright, I've given this a minute to dry here. Sometimes when I'm working with these inks that take a minute to dry, I'll have a little fan, like just a little desk fan blowing, and I'll hold it in front of it to dry it off quickly so that when I fold my letter, it doesn't smudge the ink. Let's give this a couple more minutes. It's dry except that circle. I just laid down too much ink, so it's taken a minute. But all the writing is dry. And you can see here it didn't bleed through. These marks were already there from last time. You can see on the circle where you can see it through the paper, but it hasn't like bled through onto the paper below it. So even though this paper is very, very thin, it almost feels like tracing paper, almost that thin, but not quite. But even so, it doesn't leak. It doesn't leak through the page. Yeah. Not sure if that circle is drying. Let me show you up here. So that does still look wet. Let's see if I can get this to focus. There we go. But yeah, like on the, you can see here on the river, on the river, it's brown and then green. And in different places in the writing, like on the L's, very obvious. And just in various places, the P on pen, where the two different colors come through. And then the green part is like almost a metallic green. This is a really fun ink to write with just every day. So I'll go ahead and set this aside. Let me grab the HP paper again. So this is dry, and see here how it's metallic. That's what I was trying to explain. So once this ink here dries fully, you should be able to see those different effects. Okay, so let's make the swatch, and then I'll bring the light in, and we'll look at this under the light. So first I'm going to put the cap back on and shake this up. Here's our swatch cards from last time. So what we'll do is look at these under the light all together, and we'll see if that improves what you can see of the ink properties. Okay, so I think I'll turn this a little bit. Here's ink, shaking it up again. And then for this, I like to use this end to dip it and kind of smudge around the ink. So I'll get a good amount on there. All right, go around the edge here. And if you didn't see the previous videos, this ink or this paper has a little like stripe on it, like a resist. So it's supposed to show, there it is. You can see like the white stripe coming through the ink to kind of outline this droplet. But I think this ink is actually, maybe I put down too much because it's not doing the thing, but that's okay. Or maybe I just put it in the wrong spot. That could also be the case. Anyway. Okay. Now I'll stop playing with that. I'll let it do its thing. I'm going to rinse this off. And then we'll write the name of the ink on the card. Not that I won't be able to tell or anything, but gotta be consistent. Okay. Dip this in here. Don't know if we have enough space to write everything. Oh, maybe we do. Okay. We'll give that some time to dry. That's probably going to take longer because of the amount of ink I laid down. This is having trouble washing off. There we go, that's better. Okay, just clean. Set this down. All right. So far that looks really cool. But I have a feeling it's going to need some time to dry. I'm going to try fanning it, see if we can get it to hurry up. In the meantime, let me get that light, and then I'll see if we can look at the other swatches while this one dries. Alright, so this might make some shadows and things. Let's see how this looks. There we go. Okay, so this is the one that we did a while ago. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, you can really see the sparkles now. See how the blue has those shimmery sparkles in it? Yeah, it's very, very pretty. And unfortunately, of course, the camera's in the way of the light here, but hopefully that gives you a much better look at that one. That was the, what has the name written on there? But the Riviera de la Lune, however you pronounce that. This is the one I got from Ferrisville Press, the Radiant Rosewing. And this one also, you can see when I turn it, you can just see those shimmers. Pink and rose gold colored. Trying to get it in the light, but there we go. I think that does it. Hopefully you can see that better now. Yeah, right there you can see like the pink catches it there. And then when I turned it, you can see the pinks and the gold separately is what I'm trying to say. All right, let's look at this Interstellar Bronze. And of course, this is not dry, I don't think. You can see how reflective, but look at the writing is, and look how reflective the writing is. Just the writing at the bottom. And then you can see how the brown at the top of that drip, you can see kind of the bronzy brown color showing. And then this green when it dries. Anyways, I'm going to set that aside and let that continue drying while I take these papers, and hopefully this will give us a better idea. So this is on just regular old printer paper, and this, you can see the ink still performs very well. See the loops at the top, how they're catching the light and they're shimmery green. You don't really see all the properties of this ink very well on regular printer paper, but if you did have a regular paper journal, this would totally work. You would be able to see some really pretty shifts in color in the ink. And then this is the HP 32, and you can see already how much that improves. How, like, it's almost like writing with green foil, and then it's got that bronzy, like under, I don't know what that other color is called, but the other color underneath it, and the writing. It's really, really pretty. And then this is on the Tomo River paper. I can get it to, there we go. And again, you can still see the, you can still see the pretty shiny of the writing, but you can see a lot more of the double colors there, the bronzy color and the green. So very, very pretty ink. Let's see how this is doing. Looks like it definitely still needs time. So I will let this continue to dry. And then what I'll do is, at the end of the videos, maybe we'll go over the swatches of the ones that didn't dry, but this needs more time and a fan for sure. But look how pretty that is. The writing is dry, and you can see how just shimmery and beautiful it is. So this is a really unique one, and I'll definitely have more of their inks lined up to show you in the future, because even their inks that don't have all this craziness going on, even those colors are really, really nice. So anyways, hopefully I will see you again very soon, and we can do another video. So look out for any future videos. If you guys have anything that you would like to see, or any suggestions of inks or colors, or different, brands of ink or whatever, let me know. I might already have them. Maybe we could do another swatch test. If you have any questions, leave them down below. If you have any ideas for different future videos, let me know. And I'll see you guys then. I'll have a great day.